Hey everyone, welcome back to Unbiased Magic Reviews. I hope you're off to a good week. Today we're going to be taking a look at Tommy Wonder's card routine, Here and Not, presented by Dan Harlan.
From the Books of Wonder, you are going to learn a stunning multi-phase routine that is filled with so many transformations. It's kind of hard to believe that all you're going to need is one extra card that you add to your deck of cards. It's truly a masterpiece of card magic. You are going to absolutely love this routine. Have somebody select a card, and then you try to find it. Now, instead of finding the selected card, you find the 3 queens. Those queens all transform one at a time into the selected card. It's such a well-constructed sequence, it gets gasps of disbelief. And then all the queens and the rest of the deck change back to normal, and the selection is nowhere to be found. And I've added a little bonus where you simply pluck the selected card out of thin air, right with your bare hands. It's truly a masterpiece of card magic. You are going to absolutely love this routine. I'm Dan Harlan, and it's time to take your magic to an impressive new level.
So Dan Harlan has just kickstarted this new lesson series, which he's calling The Best of the Books of Wonder, and here he has selected 10 effects from Tommy Wonder's books, and he is teaching them through PenguinMagic. For $50 you can get a subscription to this and get access to all of these instructional videos, or it looks like you can pick them up one at a time for $10 a piece. This first lesson centers around Tommy Wonder's interpretation of Hofzinser's classic card plot Everywhere and Nowhere. If you're not familiar with the card plot, the basic premise is that 3 cards change into a spectator's selection one at a time. That's the basic gist. There's many different versions that exist out there, and the card plot is very much alive. I distinctly remember learning Michael Vincent's version that he published in his book Close-Up Classics, and he performed it on his International Magic lecture video. And then years later on the Magic Cafe, he talked about how he thought it was anticlimactic, and now he has actually dropped it from his repertoire. The card plot is still very much alive, and magicians are constantly putting out new versions of it. In fact, Helder Guimaraes recently published in his latest book a version of the card plot as well. So as always, I'm going to give you guys my initial impressions, give you an idea of what you can expect to find on this instructional download, and then some final thoughts. I told you it costs $10. You're going to get 35 minutes of video instruction where Dan Harlan performs his version of Tommy Wonder's effect and then teaches it to you in detail. Before we get started, let's take a look at the original effect in Tommy Wonder's hands.
Would you please, when I shuffle the cards, just say stop. Just say stop somewhere.
Stop.
Okay, good. Remember the card. Okay, good. Now, okay, I'm going to find your card. Look. There we are. 2 of hearts. Wasn't?
No.
Okay. Wrong color?
Not high enough neither.
Nope.
No? Okay.
Don't tell us.
You know what?
I'm not going to tell you.
Okay, let me see. I'll find the card. Don't worry, don't worry. I'll find the card. Even if I have to try 52 times, I'll get there. Okay. Here is your card. The 2 of spades. No?
No.
It was the 2 of clubs.
No.
Was it 2 of diamonds?
No.
Was it not the 2?
No, it wasn't that too.
It wasn't just the wrong color.
No, it's completely wrong, right? Okay, what was it? No, I haven't got it.
I know it.
What was it?
You find it.
Okay, I'll do my best.
Well, now you got 49 more tries. Yeah.
Black?
Yeah.
Spades?
Yeah.
King? That's the simple stuff. You rub. Change. Here. 2 of diamonds. You rub. Turn it over. Turn it over. Change. Yeah, they all got, yeah, they all got King of Spades. But if you just rub a card like that, it becomes the King of Spades. It is this card, and this card, and this card, and this card. It's all there. But the funny thing is, this is just an illusion, because these three cards, like you know, they're just the three tones. Yeah. And these cards are all different. And this is not the card, because here is the King of Spades. Okay.
All right, so you guys took a look at the original effect and you can see it's a 3-phase routine. So my initial impressions of this instructional download is, I would tell you guys, if you don't have the books of Tommy Wonder, you may be interested in this, but I would say that it's probably not worth picking up. I think you're gonna get a lot more from Tommy Wonder's books, and price-wise, I think you're gonna just get more for your money if you buy the books. Obviously, I'm sure you realize I was gonna probably tell you that. When you put side by side the performance of Tommy Wonder and Dan Harlan, Tommy Wonder's performance is just much better. I liked his tempo. It was a lot more fast-paced, and I didn't think that Dan Harlan's additions to Tommy Wonder's effect really brought anything special to it overall. So I'm going to answer a couple questions you probably have about this instructional. What has Dan Harlan really changed? He's only changed a few things. Instead of it being 3 cards that change into the selection, now he's added a 4th card, which I don't think really adds a whole lot to it. He also changed one of the transformations during the routine, where Tommy Wonder used a snap change. Now he's using a twirl change, is what Dan Harlan uses. And the ending is slightly different, because in Tommy Wonder's version, as you saw, this selection ends up finally coming out of his pocket in the end. In Dan Harlan's version, the selection ends up between his hands at the very end. Overall, both of the routines were almost the same. How difficult is this to perform? Well, there's no knuckle busting sleight of hand, but this is advanced card magic. So if you're not comfortable with doing a top change, palming cards, holding out cards, then this is probably not the routine for you. If you want to perform it exactly as Dan Harlan teaches it, that's what you're going to have to be able to do. How are the angles? The angles are pretty good, but you can't have anybody directly behind you. Are there any gimmicks or gaffes involved? There is a gimmicked card, and it is identical to the same card as used in the original routine. Is there a setup involved? There is a mild setup involved, which is why if you want to perform this like Dan Harlan does, where he hands out the deck to be shuffled, you have to actually hold out some cards in the very beginning. How is the teaching on this instructional download? It's pretty good. I think that Dan Harlan was comprehensive. There were a couple things he taught on there which I really wasn't too keen about. Like, he taught the top change, and I didn't think his instruction was really that great. Instead, I would recommend that you check out Alex Pandrea. He recently put out an instructional which is called The Ultimate Guide to the Switch, and in fact, you can watch part of that for free on his YouTube channel, where he teaches you the top change for free there. You could see that if you want to, but I would urge you to check out the whole instructional if you do like that. Dan Harlan's version is just not really that good when you compare it overall. Dan Harlan also teaches you how to palm a card and goes over the other sleights that are necessary to perform the effect. Overall, Dan Harlan's teaching is almost move by move the same as what you're going to find in the book. Those are pretty much probably the questions that you're most interested in knowing overall. I didn't think there was huge differences between these effects. The version that Dan Harlan is going to teach you and what you're going to learn from the book. Okay, just to recap a couple of positives and negatives about this download and Tommy Wonder's routine as a whole. So the real positive aspect of this is that you're going to get detailed video instructions. So if you don't own Tommy Wonder's books, you may be interested in picking this up. I think that people that are serious into card magic should just pick up Tommy Wonder's books. The real negative aspects here are that, one, that Dan Harlan really hasn't added much to the original effect, and you're really not going to miss anything if you just get Tommy Wonder's books. There is a gaff card in play, and there is a minor setup involved. With so many versions out there of Everywhere and Nowhere, I would highly recommend that you just look for a different version that exists out there in general. I prefer my own version that uses no gimmicks or gaff cards and that there's no setup involved. A version that I will recommend to you guys, which is similar, that I really used to like a lot, was one you can find in the Dave Campbell Legacy book written by Peter Duffy. It's called Everywhere and Nowhere. There's no gaff cards and there's no setup, and it's a very clean looking version of Everywhere and Nowhere. I would rate this instructional download as 3 out of 5 stars. If you guys have any questions or comments about this, please leave them below. Thanks again, guys, for tuning into my magic reviews, and I'll see you on the next review.